And hello, welcome back, everybody. Whew. I am excited to be back with you today. We were off last week, as you saw, and we are in the month of July. As you see, all around you, right? 4th of July is in full spirit. And, we know that during the holidays, this holiday particularly is synonymous with fireworks and parades and delightful treats and feasts. But what if your doctor has put a limitation on your plate? Well, don't worry. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about what do you do during the holidays when you may have some dietary restriction, right? So we're not here to talk about the limits that are on you, but how can we go ahead and have a wonderful time during the holiday? That's right. We're dedicating this entire episode to the 4th of July and all the fanfare that's going on. Even if you have dietary restrictions and conditions like diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, we're going to be talking about that here tonight on this episode. So let's get ready and let's get ready to enjoy the flavor of this 4th of July. You guys like that? The flavor. Well, I'm Dr. Dwayne Wood. If you're new to me, I am an endocrinologist. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level, creating the life you've always wanted. Here on the channel, I want you, if you're new, to go ahead and put new in the comments so that I can let's get you some hand claps and some music to welcome you to the neighborhood and to the community. Like I said, we were off last week. And we have been doing an amazing series called The Power of a Positive Mindset. Let me see if I can put that. Yeah, there you go. The Power of a Positive Mindset. And we've done 3 episodes of that so far. We're taking a break tonight to talk about 4th of July and health and all the things that may be involved with that. But we're coming back. We're coming back to finish that out as we get through the rest of the summer. So don't miss that at all. The other thing is make sure that you get over to our, let's see, that should be coming up there pretty soon, I hope. Make sure you get over to our YouTube channel, and let's see if I can pull that up. Well, maybe not. There we go. That should be coming up. Anyway, get over to our YouTube channel. We've done an amazing series of videos on everything from diabetes to building a new mindset to developing a strategy for improving ourselves, right? So all those things are there on our website. So make sure you get out there and make sure you get to watch those, and we'll pull those up as we get here soon. Hopefully we can get that back to you so you can see that. If you've not already done so, go ahead and get to our channel. Make sure that you are subscribed. If you know people who want to get to our content who have not able to do so, make sure that they are able that they get there as well and they're subscribed. And let me see if I can pull that up. There we go. Okay, so I had to switch over to my phone. But anyway, so there you are. That's our website, or that's our YouTube channel. This is the show that we're doing right now. Savor the 4th without the fret, right? So mastering, there you go. Okay. So just make sure that you get over and that you are making yourself familiar with what is on our YouTube channel and all the offerings that we have there. We'll work on seeing if we can get those up for you to view. So welcome, y'all. This is an interesting holiday. Okay. All holidays are interesting, but 4th of July, because it's in the summer, people are out of school, people may be taking vacations and a little bit more relaxed than they normally are during the course of the year. Okay. And it is a place where sometimes we find people having some difficulties, having some challenges. As we said, we've been talking about the power of a positive mindset. And this episode fits right in with that, because we're talking about 4th of July. We're talking about food. And when it comes to food and it comes to holidays, sometimes people become depressed. They become negative, right? Because there's all this supposed restriction that they see that's been placed on them. And if they're not thinking about it in the right way, then they can have some difficulties navigating through this holiday season. And as we get into the rest of the year, right? So we got 4th of July, we got Labor Day that's coming up. We've got, of course, Halloween with all the candy. We've got Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas, and then of course New Year's is coming. And not to mention, right? So those are quote unquote the holidays. Well, what about the birthdays? What about the anniversaries? What about the get-togethers? What about the family reunions that are going on? All of those things can sometimes pose a difficulty for people who may have, as I said, dietary restriction. Now, I'm saying that word, the phrase dietary restriction, but I really don't like it. I want to let me offer something. So restrictions are not bad. Okay, let me say that restrictions are not bad. So there are things that we have to have restrictions about. So you can't drive as fast as you want, right? Because there are restrictions in terms of the speed. You can't just do whatever you want at your job because there are restrictions. You can't just walk into the grocery store and pick up some stuff and just walk out without paying, right? So there are restrictions. There are restrictions all around us. And those restrictions, sometimes we think of them and we see them and we think we have negative thoughts about them, okay? So sometimes we say, okay, these are not restrictions, but I'm gonna tell you, there are restrictions. Restriction, the phrase restriction is not a bad word. We could think of some other words that we can use, right? Boundaries is a good one that people use. Okay, these are your dietary boundaries. These are boundaries in your life. There are other phrases. For instance, I use when I'm talking to my patients, when I'm talking to clients, when I'm talking to people in general, I talk about guardrails. Right? So guardrails. These are things that protect you, that when you bounce into them, when you bump into them, you are reminded that, hey, there is a place, there is a boundary, there is something that I can't go beyond, or I shouldn't go beyond. Or it reminds me that, hey, I need to be on this side of that line. Okay? So restrictions, boundaries, guardrails, whatever you want to call them, they are the things that allow us to be happy, content, and to really explore. As an example, children, boundaries are good for children because it allows them the freedom to explore that entire space wherever they are, whatever the boundaries are. Okay, so enough about boundaries. So when we talk about dietary restrictions, there are dietary restrictions that a lot of people will have. Well, some people will have depending on their disease process, these processes. Let me say that. Okay. So when we talk about 4th of July, we are always talking about the happiness. We're talking about the fireworks. We're talking about the community. We're talking about all of the amazing things that go along with independence. It's a time where Americans can come together and celebrate our country's independence. It's about pride. It's about freedom. Let me come back here. Yeah, so it's a time when the Americans come together. They celebrate our country's independence. It's about pride. It's about freedom. It's about unity. Right? All those things are wrapped up in the 4th of July. Right. So the pride that people feel, if you drive around where I live, you'll see the flags, the big flag on the porch, right, kind of waving, or you'll see people who have planted those flags in their yard, right? So lots of flags, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, hundreds of flags, depending on how large the land is. Okay. So there's some pride that goes with it. And when you hear those songs, right? I'm proud to be an American. You remember that, Lee Greenwood, right? And you see that flag waving in the wind, right? You sometimes you'll get choked up. There is pride that goes with that. The unity that we feel as a country. And, nowadays people talk about the division, the dissension that people feel, but there is some unity and there is pride in being an American. And so all of those things are wrapped up in the celebration of this day of independence. We love that. We get together with family. People have their family reunions around this time, right? Because it is a time when everybody comes aside. Like I said, it is one of those times when school is out. People have taken vacations. People are having these family reunions. Uncle Bob and uncles and dad and grandpa. These are the grill masters in the family, and they're out there and they're right now getting their stuff ready. Some people have got some stuff smoking, and they've been smoking it for the last 12 hours. Right? They're getting ready for tomorrow. Whether you like a wet rub, a marinade, or you like a dry rub, whether you like to smoke, whether you like to grill, whether you like to baste or spray or spritz. Let me say it right. Let me say spritz, right? Whatever it is, whether it's a hot dog or a hamburger, boom, right? There's certain thing that it conjures up when we think about the 4th of July. And our ideas, our thoughts about the 4th of July dictate how we behave, y'all, because, right, it gives us that feeling. There's this feeling that we get, and that feeling dictates our behavior. But let's be honest, right? When you think about 4th of July, not only do you think about all the stuff we just said, but we also think, right? So when we think about 4th of July, we think about, the fireworks, and we think about all that stuff, but we also think about food. That's right. It's about that mouth watering, the barbecue, the picnics, right? And don't forget the sweet treats. Don't forget those cupcakes and so forth. Right? So who in your family is the grill master? Who's the one that does the hot dogs? Who's the one that does the hamburgers? Who's the one that makes the potato salad and the coleslaw? Right? Maybe mama has a special lemonade that she makes. Or Aunt Sue has a special drink that she makes for the 4th of July. But what do we do? What do we do when we have some dietary restrictions, some boundaries, some things that we've got to be careful of around the holiday? And, particularly when we talk about dietary restrictions, right, there are 3 that I want to talk about, but this applies to any disease process that you have where there has been some caution or limit or idea talked about by your physician, by your healthcare provider, by your healthcare team. So what are some of the challenges? Well, carbohydrates for diabetics, right? So carbohydrates. So what are carbohydrates? Carbohydrates are anything, these are things that grow out of the ground. They will raise your blood sugar. We did a couple of shows, or we did a series on diabetes back in the fall, right? And it's coming up again for our Diabetes Awareness Month. We're going to do some more education about that, but go back and watch those. So carbohydrates, things that raise blood sugars. When we talk about diabetics, those are the things particularly that we need to worry about when we talk about blood sugars. Right? The things that you will see, the things that you will ingest, even sometimes when you don't know that they will raise your blood sugar. So I've got a lot of people who come in as diabetics, and they say to me, "Hey doc, I don't know. I've been eating, I stopped eating fried foods, for example, they'll say. And I've been eating nothing but salads. And my blood sugars are still high. And I'll say to them, well, the stuff that you're eating in the salad, those are carbohydrates. And they'll say, well, I thought that was good for me. And I say, yes, it is good for you, but they are still carbohydrates. Now, let me pause here to have that conversation. Just because something raises your blood sugar does not mean it's not good for you. All right. Yeah. I hear it coming through the screen, right? And I can see the wheels turning. You're like, wait a minute. Let me say it again. Just because something raises your blood sugar does not mean it's not good for you. Let me give you an example. A tomato, if you eat a tomato, it will raise your blood sugar. Why? Because a tomato has carbs. Those are the natural fibers that are in the carbohydrate. Those are the natural things that are in the fruit, the vegetable, the food that you're eating that are turned into sugar in the body and causes the blood sugar to go up. So does that mean that tomatoes are bad for diabetics? No. Because what are tomatoes supposed to do? They are supposed to raise your blood sugar. That's how they give you energy. When the body breaks it down, it converts it to energy in the form of sugar, which is energy, right? Now, all that means, though, is that you can't sit down and in one sitting eat 100 tomatoes. So it doesn't mean that tomato is bad for you, but you've got to eat it in moderation. And I want you to get that distinction, right? That's where sometimes we lose the battle, because we try to come up with these lists of this I should do or this I shouldn't do, and a lot of times those lists blend together. Okay? All right. So whatever we're eating that's going to raise our blood sugar, the idea there is that it's not that it can't eat it, but we've got to be careful with how we eat it. Okay? So diabetics, carbohydrates. That's what that's what we are concerned about when we talk about diabetics. When we talk about patients who have heart disease, all right, and you'll see there I list sodium, so that's salt, and fatty foods, right? Those are the things that we think are the big things for heart disease. But in that list, right, sodium, right? Why is sodium bad for the heart, or why is sodium a concern? Well, sodium, salt, wherever salt goes, water follows, right? And so if we have someone who's ingesting a lot of salt, then they retain a lot of fluid. Because you're retaining a lot of fluid, the heart, which is the pump in the body, has to pump more than it normally would. So let's follow that process. If, for example, and I'm just using this as an example, if there is a pint of blood in your body, 1 pint of blood, and the heart normally is pumping 1 pint of blood, right? Lub-dub, 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 lub-dub. And it's doing a great job. Lub-dub, lub-dub, lub-dub. And you start eating a lot of salt. What did I say? When salt goes, where salt goes, so does water. So you're eating a lot of salt, and now water follows the salt. So your body retains more fluid. And now instead of lub-dubbing on 1 pint, like we said, all of a sudden the heart has to pump 1.5 pints, right? So now it's straining to pump that. And what does it have to do? It has to increase. In order to pump the same amount of blood, it's got to increase, right? Or get that blood circulating through the blood to the body. It's got to increase. And because it's doing that, you could think of the heart as a muscle, which it is. And so the more work that the heart has to do, right? Lub dub, lub dub, lub dub, lub dub. The more work that the heart has to do, the more thickened the heart gets. And so we could run into problems in terms of heart failure and so forth. Okay, that's the first thing. Fatty foods. We think that fatty foods, because of the saturated fat that comes into the body because of fatty foods, then that gets deposited in the vasculature, in the cardiovascular system. And so now we've got places where it's beginning to plug, causing obstruction. And now we develop coronary artery disease. Right? So sodium and fatty foods. Now, we listed carbohydrates for diabetics, but diabetes is a risk factor in cardiovascular disease. And so carbohydrates now becomes part of the list for people with heart disease. Okay, so now we've got the carbohydrates for the diabetics. We've got the sodium and the fatty foods for the patients, people with heart disease. And then if we have kidney disease, we're concerned about sodium, which is salt. Once again, this for similar reasons. And the harder the heart has to pump to get all of that fluid moving, the more, right, we're slamming into the kidney. Right, so the higher pressure we have in the kidney, so it's like a piston, right? It's like a piston hitting the kidney. All that pressure from the high blood pressure, right? All that, and that begins to cause damage against the kidney. So that's why sodium is bad, or salt is bad for the kidneys. And then potassium, right? So when the kidneys are unable to process. When the kidneys are unable to process appropriately, then the potassium in the body builds up. And one of the main things that high potassium can cause, it can cause issues for the heart. So see how all that is kind of intertwined? So we've talked about these specific three things, right? Diabetes, heart disease, and kidney disease. But there are some other diseases out there that people have got to be careful with. All right. So make sure that you are paying attention. I mean, and other types of food. For example, people who have kidney disease, sometimes they will have restrictions on the amount of protein that they can eat. People who have heart disease and who are on dialysis, right, or who have kidney disease, then there's some restriction on the amount of fluids that they can take in. So there are all these restrictions that we run into. Okay. Now, let me hasten to say, and we're going to come talk about this here in just a minute. The fact that there are restrictions does not mean that you cannot enjoy the holidays. Yeah. Okay. So it's all about how we think, all about our mindset, all about how we interpret the things that are in our lives. Okay. So those are the challenges. Those are some of the challenges for people who have dietary restrictions. So let's let's pause. I see someone just popped up here. So hi, how are you doing? Let me see if I can get that on. So Animal Paradise. Hey Janet, how are you? Hi Dwayne, happy early 4th. Thanks for the clear explanation. Happy heart and body. That's right. Happy heart and body. Okay. And as we, thanks for saying that, Janet. And as we're talking through this process, one of the things that I always try to impress on my patients, my clients, those people that I deal with, is that the disease has to fit within your life. Let me say that again. Our disease processes fit within our life. Because what is the point of treating disease? The point of treating disease is to keep us healthy. Why do we want to keep us healthy? So that we can live longer. Why do we want to live longer? So that we can enjoy life. How do we enjoy life? By being with the people we love, by enjoying the things we like to do, right? By living to our purpose, by achieving our goal for life. So remember, that is the purpose. That's the goal of all the things we do. We don't just treat diseases to treat diseases. So I want you to get that. So we treat diseases for an ultimate purpose, and the ultimate purpose is for you to have a fulfilling and enjoyable life. Okay, so as we're talking through this process, I want you to keep that in mind. All right. So we've talked about diabetes, we've talked about heart disease, and we've talked about kidney disease. And once again, there are other disease processes that are out there that you should make sure that you're listening to your healthcare providers about. So ultimately, right, and I preempted this, we want to have balance and enjoyment, right? So we want to balance our health with enjoyment, right? So that's where we are. All right. So there's the importance of finding balance. And in order to do that, we want to make sure that we're making smarter choices and we are planning ahead. So let's go back and let's talk for a minute about balance to expand the idea that I just said. Now, I'm going to pick on the diabetics for a minute. I can control a diabetic's blood sugar. I can control a diabetic's blood sugar. I guarantee you that I can get them to have good blood sugars. I can take a diabetic and I could lock them in this room right here in my studio. And every day I can come by and I can give them a glass of water and a half a slice of bread. And if I check their blood sugars over the course of time, guess what? They're going to have great blood sugars. In fact, aside from our type 1 diabetics, right? I'm going to take them out of the picture for a minute. If I take a type 2 diabetic who is still making insulin in their body and I lock them in this room and I go through that regimen, right? Half a slice of bread and water over the course of 3-4 days, guess what? I'm going to get great blood sugars. And in fact, after a while, they won't need to take any medication. I can do it. But the question that we ask is, what is their quality of life? Now, I'm sure they'd be happy, right, that they're getting something to eat and something to drink. And after a while, they're going to get tired of my face. But they have great blood sugars. And of course, they'll hear me talking all the time. I mean, that's a great benefit. But they would be miserable. So there is that extreme. And then the other extreme is just letting people do and eat and behave in any way they want. And somehow we've got to find the balance between the two. So I want you to hear me again. It's not just about controlling the blood sugar, because if it was, locking people in a room and giving them bread and water would be great. We would do that all the time. But there's the enjoyment in life that we've got to balance against the diabetes in this case, right? And the same idea for all the other disease processes that we have out there, right? All those things that we think are lifestyle processes. Now, the same thing, and I excluded type 1 diabetics for a reason, right? Let's bring them back in. I can do the same thing with them. Of course, I'd have to give them insulin, right? And if I'm going to give them insulin, I may have to give them a little bit more than just the bread. They can get the water, but they have to get a little bit more than bread, right? Because they are insulin requiring, right? So all of you who are out there, I want you to remember that. For type 1 diabetes, it is insulin requiring. So if they have to have insulin, I've got to give them enough carbohydrates to keep their blood sugar to a point where they get the insulin. Okay? It is what it is. Does that make sense? All right. So balancing enjoyment and health. Balancing enjoyment and health. I got a question for you. Why is it that people, quote unquote, don't control blood sugars? And once again, I'm picking on my diabetics. Or same thing for hypertension, right? Or so forth. Or obesity or high cholesterol and all those different things that we've got where we said these are lifestyle issues. Why is it that that doesn't happen? I'm waiting. The reason it doesn't happen is because life happens. No one gets up on a morning, and say, you know what, today I'm going to do everything I possibly can do to make my blood sugars better, make my blood sugars worse, or to make my high blood pressure worse, or make my cholesterol worse. But every day people get up and they seemingly do all the things that do exactly that. Make their blood sugars worse, make their blood pressure higher, make their cholesterol higher, so on, to make their kidneys more prone to damage. And you know why that is? Because when people get up in the morning, life meets them at the door. So they get up in the morning and they plan. They plan that they're going to check their blood sugar, take their medication before they run out the door. And they get up in the morning and their 12-year-old says, "Mom, don't forget." And they said the 12-year-old says this at 7:45. Right? Don't forget that I've got that test that starts at 8. And mom says, starts at 8? And she rushes down the stairs, right? Kid jumps in the car. They rush off to school so that they can get there on time, because they only live 15 minutes away, by the way. 7:45 to 8 o'clock, right? Actually, they live less than 15 minutes. And so mom rushes out and she says to herself, okay, when I drop Sue off, when I drop Johnny off, when I drop blah, 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 I'm going to come back home. I'm going to take my medicine and then I'm going to get into my day. And mom gets to school, drops Johnny off, and the teacher says to mom, "Hey, Mrs. Jones, hey, I've been meaning to talk to you about something. Do you mind?" And his mom says, and she's thinking, man, I was supposed to go back home and do my medicine. See what just happened? Right? Life seemingly took over. So it wasn't that mom planned not to do it, but other things happen. And if we're not careful, we let those things, right, occur. All right. Anyway, so balance. We got to find balance. That's what we're doing. We got to find a balance between enjoyment and health. So how does that play out? How does that play out in the 4th of July and in the holidays and in your birthday and in your anniversary and in Labor Day and in Thanksgiving and in Christmas and right, and then so forth? Because the same principles, the same ideas occur, the same things happen. So we're trying to find that balance. And here is we're trying to find that balance. And so here are some things that we want to do. Here's some things that we want to do. Number 1, there has to be acceptance. Woo! There has to be acceptance. I am not my disease. That is not who I am. But I've got to accept that I have that disease. Now, everybody who's out there right now who's saying, oh, we need to rush and reverse it. Yes. I agree. Let's get rid of it. Let's find some way to get it better. But right now I got it. And it's not changing from tonight to tomorrow. Okay? So I'm going to have it tomorrow. So what do I do tomorrow? Maybe on the 5th, right? Maybe I would have reversed it, but tomorrow on the 4th is not reversed. Between now and then, it's still here. So I've got to accept that I'm living with diabetes, or I'm living with hypertension, high blood pressure, or I'm living with high cholesterol, and I have a BMI, my weight is above where it should be. I'm living with those things at this moment. But it doesn't define me. And I have a plan that's going to get me to a better place. Right? Notice the switch. My belief about what is currently in existence. I have diabetes. There is no value to that phrase, I have diabetes, or I have high blood pressure, or I am overweight, or I am, and you can plug in whatever it is there, right? And we're talking about food right now. We're talking about health right now, but that could be anything. I am in a job that is not satisfying me. I live in a house that I don't want to be in. I have a job that's not giving me enough money. I have an idea in my head that I haven't gotten out onto paper, right? It is just a fact. And it has no meaning. But my belief about that fact is what gives me a feeling. The feeling makes me do something, and that doing something gives me a result. So first of all, we got to accept. Am I going to stay here? No. Is this where I'm living? No. Is this where I'm going to be camping all the time? No. But it's where I am right now. And there's some things that I can do to get me ready for going to another place. Okay? Number one. Number two, preparation. Preparation. Now, you know that 4th of July comes around every year at this time. You know that your birthday comes around the same time every year. You know that Thanksgiving and Christmas and family reunion and New Year's all come around the same time. Don't let it sneak up on you. So that all of a sudden you show up at that family reunion, all of a sudden you show up at that party and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to eat now? And I'm worried about all the things that are going on. No, it's coming around. Plan for it. Think about it. What am I going to do? How am I going to behave when I get there? Right. One of the things that they said that you should do in preparation, if you're getting ready to go to a party and you know you have some dietary restrictions and there are going to be some things there that you're going to struggle with, eat something before you go. So that when you get there, you're not famished. Because I'm going to tell you, if you try to eat and control yourself while you're hungry, it's not going to happen, y'all. Because this brain right here, this mind is going to make you eat stuff that you said, well, I wasn't going to eat that, but the but is that you were so hungry, right? Because you said, hey, I'm not eating anything today because when I get there, they're going to have so much and I'm just going to go through it. Eat something before. So then when you get there, you're much more able to control what you eat. Now, that doesn't mean when you get there, you're not eating the stuff, but you are in control of what you eat. Don't let the mind, don't let the body, don't let your hunger be in control. So prepare. Maybe eat something before. Take a snack. Drink water. Do you know how often we end up eating, not because we are hungry or not because we want that thing, but because we're thirsty. In fact, let me drink some water right now. Ah, that's good. Right? Drink water. Make sure that you're hydrated. Make sure you are rested. Same thing. When we are tired, we tend to eat more than when we're rested. So prepare. That's what that is, right? Eat something before you get there. Make sure you're hydrated. Make sure you're rested. And make sure, here's a big one, that before you get to that family reunion, that you began processing the relationship with that cousin, that sister, that aunt, that mother, that uncle, that is in tension. Because if you get there and you get into an argument, you know what you're going to do as a result? You're going to eat. So prepare. It's not just about the food that's on the table. It's about the mentality with which you approach the event. When we talked about the power of a positive mindset, we want to approach this. We want to approach this event, this 4th of July event that we're having, with a positive mindset, a positive spin, a positive outlook, with positive energy within us, so that when we get there, we're not eating our way through the emotions and the thoughts that are in our head. Next, balance. Look, I love, y'all. I love ice cream. Did I say love? Yeah. Now that's a strong word to use. I'm a foodie. I love ice cream. And if somebody walked in right now with some ice cream, I'm going to have to pause this conversation with you so that I can have some of that ice cream. And I'm not going to tell you the one that is like the thing, right? Because I don't want you guys just stopping me and just, messing with me and just showing me ice cream. If you watch some of our previous shows, you know which one it is. Should I say it? No, I'm not going to say it. Right? But I can't eat ice cream all the time. I can't bring ice cream into the house like that. Like I can't just go to the grocery store and on the list of things that I'm going to bring into the house when we go shopping is ice cream. I've done that before. Say, hey, we just need to have some ice cream in the house. And you know what ends up happening? All the ice cream, like all of it, y'all, is gone within a couple of days. Because what did I say? Yes, I love ice cream. But I've got to have balance, right? And one of the boundaries I've put for myself is not to go out and just buy ice cream. I've done it. And if I'm not careful right now, I can go out there and get some ice cream. But balance. There are going to be so many things on that table. There are going to be so many things in that kitchen. And if you're going to eat, right, and you want to have, and sometimes people say, I'm gonna have everything that's on this table. If that's what you're gonna do, don't take like 10 spoonfuls of one thing and 10 spoonfuls of another, and then so forth, right? Take a little bit of each. Be balanced. If they got 10 desserts, you're going to have to get a spoon of each dessert. But that's a silly one, but you get the idea. Okay. But if you're walking away from the table and your plate is piled yay high, you probably have too much stuff. Right. Walk away with a smaller plate. Go eat that and then come back. You can get another one. Right. But one of the things that happens with us is, and you may have grown up in this era as well, is you're supposed to empty the stuff on your plate. So if you pile your plate this high, guess what? You're going to eat it. And then you're going to come back and you're going to try to get some more because you didn't have some of that apple pie that was there, right? Because it couldn't fit on the plate. So I'm going to make sure I come back and get that after I've eaten that mountain. So balance. We've got to make sure we have balance. And then remember the reason why we are here. The reason we're here is the celebration, the community, the freedom, the unity that comes with the 4th of July. Don't forget that that's why we're here. Don't forget when it's your birthday that the celebration is not the food. The celebration is that I have another year of life, that I'm here, y'all, that I'm alive. The anniversary is that you have another year. We just celebrated 31, right? Another year. And everything in your relationship may not be perfect, but another year of marriage. Family reunions. Man, we got together again, and I get to see all these people. The community is the reason that we're here. The community is the connection that we make. And when we're making connections, we don't have to eat our way through emotions. We don't have to eat our way through those jumbled thoughts, because the community is rallying around us. But if you're at the family barbecue and you are mad at everybody because you have not fixed, you have not embraced, you have not repaired the community, then of course the cortisol comes out, right? As soon as you see that person, boom, cortisol comes out, and cortisol is going to make you eat. The emotions are going to make you eat. Now, as I've said, we're talking about the 4th of July, but the things that I've just said apply to any space where you find yourself, where there are dietary restrictions, there's food around. That's what we need to do. You want to prepare. You want to make sure that you are, you got to accept it. You want to prepare for it. You want to find balance in what you're doing, and remember the purpose of the event. Because I'm going to say it again. The thing that happens has no meaning, but your belief about it dictates your feeling dictates your behavior, and your behavior dictates the result. So how do we enjoy the holiday? That's it right there. That's it. That's how we enjoy the holidays. That's how we enjoy the 4th of July. Right? Remember, I talked about the unity. I talked about the this celebration that we have that comes with it. This pride, the freedom. Amazing. Awesome. Well, I'm glad. I'm happy about this one. Now, this particular episode, this show, fits in with this idea of a positive mindset, because our ability to think about the holidays and think about food, if we approach it in a positive light, then we can manage it better. Right? We can manage it better. Everything that we experience, we're able to think about it the way we want. Now, that doesn't mean that it changes. That doesn't mean the situation changes. But we have the ability to think about it in our own way. If you're out there, go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you're liking this episode that we're doing. If you've not already done so, y'all, make sure that you get out there and that you subscribe to our channel. If you have not done so, if you know people who are interested in, and let me see if I can do this now, people who are interested in, well, and that didn't come up, interested in our show, who are not able to subscribe yet, please go ahead and help them to subscribe. I don't think that's working right now, guys. Again, so let's get you over here and pop over to this one. Okay, and to that's our YouTube channel, right? Make sure you get over there. Also, there is on our website, right? So that's DwainWoodeMD. Remember that DwainWoodeMD is where you want to go, and you will find all of our different offerings. Go ahead and pull that up really quickly. You can get over there and you can see. Yeah, and I think that is not the right one. So let's go ahead and bring it over. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, let's pop. There we go. You can see our website. Of course, you can download our free resource, which is there, 7 keys to success. You can see our podcasts, and we continue to add our shows to the podcast there. Conquering Your Brain Negativity Trap is the last episodes that we had. Our blog. If you've not read this yet, you got to get over there. And let me pull that up. Yeah. If you've not done that, you've got to get over to our blog, because we have a growing list of important and interesting blog features there. We continue to write that comes out every Friday, and at the bottom of, and we've started this probably about a month ago, where at the bottom of each of the blog there's this thing called the toolbox, and the toolbox gives you a tool that you can use to process and work through the things that you learned in the body of the blog itself. Okay, so for instance, this one is entitled From Fear to Fuel, Harnessing the Power of Fear. And then down at the bottom, the Fear to Fuel Transformation Matrix, right? So this is an exercise that you can do at the bottom of that particular blog. Let's see, what's another one? If you go back, the Positive Balance Sheet, right? So this is one that we did that really just talked about the tool itself. Right? This is a tool for a flourishing life. If you go back and you'll find this one said living authentically, right? A path to true fulfillment, right? So this is an important one as well. And down at the bottom of this one, you see the toolbox, self-awareness through role play. All right, so make sure you get over there and you take a look at all the things that we are doing. If you want to get on our waiting list for the Sugar Busters, which is a series that we did back in April, which is a challenge that we did back in April. And then, of course, Ready, Set, Grow, which is our group, right? Which is our support group. If you're interested in increasing your confidence, self-esteem, clarify and focus your goals, right? Which is a big one. Get more energy, enhance your physical and emotional well-being, and just so many things that you can do there. And if you are interested in working with me, right, there is our coaching program that you can get signed up for as well. Okay, so make sure you get over there and watch all of those. This is a perfect time and perfect place for us to do our thought of the day. So let's get over and do that now. All right, so our thought of the day is this: that my ability to be successful is not reflected by where I currently sit. My ability to be successful is not reflected by where I currently sit. Today, I don't have the training for what I want to do, but that doesn't mean I can't do what I want to do. Today, I don't have the community that supports me for what I want to do, but that doesn't mean I can't do what I want to do. So my ability to be successful is not reflected by where I am. You may see me now. You may not understand where I'm heading. You may watch me now and see how I move, and you may see something different than where I'm going to end up, because I'm on a path that is improving. I'm on a trajectory that is moving me to a better place. I'm on a road that is helping me to get to a better space. So what you see today is not what I'm going to end up to be. And your thoughts about me, and my thoughts about myself right now are not where I'm going to be. So, for you, for me, when I'm thinking about myself, I've got to think about myself over there. When I'm thinking about who I am and what I'm going to do, I'm thinking about myself at a better place. When I'm motivating myself in the morning, I'm not motivating myself to stay right here. I'm motivating myself because I know I'm heading for a higher space, a higher plane. I'm creating the life I want. And this year, this 2023, this year is going to be the year. I'm jumping off right now. This is my jumping off point. We have now reached July. We are in the second half of the year, and my trajectory is always constantly up. I may have some bad days. I may have some things that don't work. I may have some people who doubt. I may have to redo, retool, retrain, relearn. But that's okay, because my ability to be successful is not reflected by where I am right now. And that is our thought for today. All right. Well, y'all, thank you for being here tonight. I am so excited, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. Now, there is a lot of stuff that's going on in the summer. People are on vacation. People are, having family reunions. Of course, tomorrow is the 4th of July. But I want to make sure that you make time to be back here for our next episode. And it's going to be a doozy, y'all. It's going to be a doozy, right? So make sure that you're here. Make sure that you go ahead and give us a like for this episode on your way out. Send a link to somebody. Let them know that we're here. Subscribe, right? And keep watching for there's some things that we said were coming out that we've delayed a few things, but don't get disheartened. They are coming. And I want you to make sure that you avail yourself of those resources. We are here at 7:00 on Mondays. There are a couple of Mondays that are coming up, and we'll let you know when those are, where we may do a recorded a recorded video for that particular one. There's one Monday that we are going to not have a live video that I can think of right now, but we'll let you know more about that. Make sure you come back. Make sure you pay attention to your email. Make sure you pay attention to the notifications on the channel. Thank you for being here. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, I encourage you to take charge of your health in your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time at the next video.